Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Simnaya. I hope you are great. So I am sure a lot of you saw so many things that happened with Asians and all that, how they said that they do not want some certain people in their hash mart and the rest of it. So eventually they will said black people can come into the discussion, which black people eventually came in. Some people were just observing from their back end and all that. The truth is that some of them are waking up. Why? Because they are finding out that their proximity to whiteness will not lead them to anywhere. Rather, it will destroy them, which is already destroying them. Because tell me how some of them are saying that they want their own space for themselves, not for other people. And some of the Asian women that are married to white men are saying, why would you all say that? So because they are married to white people, white men, they do not feel like there are some things you shouldn't share with them, and there are some things that was where the problem started. And Asians then acknowledge how anti-black they have been and how it is only black people that could understand what they are saying, and which is true. And they are calling every other person to stop being anti-black. Why? Because you know what it is already. If you are not anti-black, you are supporting your own oppressor. And some of them are saying white people are always very quick to tell them that go back to your country, go back to your country, when they were the ones that destroyed some of their things. Now, see, politics very. Let's get into this video.
White people love to say, then why are you living in a white country? If you don't like it here, then why don't you go back to, they usually assume it's China. Do they understand what they did to our home countries that would have caused so many Asian people to immigrate here? Now, I'm Chinese, so we can start there. British people invaded the shit out of us and then got a bunch of us addicted to opium. They brought the Qing dynasty to its knees so much that the 20th century was called the century of humiliation. And British colonialism lasted so long that Hong Kong was only returned in 1997. My parents immigrated to the US before China really industrialized and got its shit together. Oh yeah, my dad went back to live there. It's just better there for him now. So the next time a white person asks you, well, if you don't like it here, why don't you just go back to where you came from? Why do you live in a white country? The first thing you can say is, well, why were you guys in my country in the first place? Fucked it all up so that we had to come here. And the second thing you can say is, whose white country? Whose white country? This is native land. This is native ass land. Without native people, the first white settlers here would have fucking died. Those colonizers learned to eat what indigenous people were eating. They set up cities right over indigenous cities. And because so many indigenous people died of disease brought over by those same colonial people, they had to start human trafficking black people and then Chinese people to do the work they were too lazy to do. And the sad part is you can explain this to them all day. You can feed them the history of their own country and they'll still walk away thinking that they ate by telling you to go back where you came from. Whenever Asian people complain about society, the most pick-me-go things that you can do as an Asian woman is to cosplay black women and co-opt their style, language, and aesthetics in order to appeal to their primary audience of white men. It may seem counterintuitive, using black culture to try to get closer to white people, but it is one of the most white supremacist things that they generally do to imitate black people without actually respecting them. There are a number of famous Asian women who have made this their brand. They will speak with an inauthentic black accent, refer to themselves as a bad bitch, create usernames involving rap lyrics, or actually go online and rap with everything included, including the N-word. And these pick-me-goes are given the benefit of the doubt because people assume, oh, they're Asian, they don't know that this is bad because of the infantilization of Asian women. They know what they're doing. It's a whole rigmarole that they have to go through to dress like that, to style themselves like that, and to keep up their fake black public persona, because if the mask falls for even a minute, they might have ruined their personal brand. This pick-me-go is the most difficult to clock because on the surface it may look like she is looking for approval from the black community. But in reality, this is kind of disrespectful to them and pandering to her target audience, which is still white people, specifically white men. Because the most authentic way to connect with a community is to be centered in yourself as an Asian woman and share authentically with that community. So I wanted to call out this particular kind of pick-me-go behavior because it is harmful to both the black and Asian communities. Yes, she understands how bad it is, and she's doing it anyway.
I'm loving the East Asian drama going on social media right now with East Asians calling out other East Asians for wannabe white activity and whatnot and behaviors and things like that. And I love it and I'm here for it and everything. But I'm not going to lie. I just feel like it's too little too late. Because here's the thing that black people understand. We know that you all want to be white. We know that there are large contingencies, like 98% of non-black people of color, who pride themselves on the fact that they're not black, so thus they're closer to white, so they don't feel as though they should join their advocacy with black people. We know that. We've already known that. We've been knew that. That is literally not breaking news to us. I'm sorry. I don't want to be a downer or a, negative Nancy, but I feel it is incumbent upon me to speak the truth and to speak it ever. Unfortunately, I still find myself shocked and surprised by how much non-black people of color pride themselves on not being black, because it flies in the face of everything I live as a mixed race black woman who is proud of my identity and my heritage as a black person specifically. I want to be black in this life and the next, right? And I can't say the same for the entirety of the black diaspora. Of course, I know that. I understand that, I could be generalizing a little bit here, but the way that black people approach our advocacy to, white patriarchal supremacist systems, my first thought is always like practicality. When I come across another ethnic person, I'm like, oh, we have a shared history of oppression. And it's the same group of people who oppressed both of us, just in different ways. Let's be friends. And that's not their attitude at all. I'm approaching from a pragmatic point of, we have a common enemy, so let's link up and join forces and we can outnumber them easily. You know what I mean? And that's not how non-black people of color approach their advocacy in any way, shape, or form. And quite frankly, that's why their efforts at advocacy continue to fail and fall short and fall flat on their fucking face. Because it often comes too little too late, or it often comes after some great cataclysmic event that black people tried to warn you about, see affirmative action being removed from schools and universities and whatnot, or it comes in too small a number for it to have any great widespread impact on voting habits, or, public policy initiatives and things like that. It always falls flat. I also see this too in some liberal white people, left-leaning and, so-called progressive white people, when they say things like, oh, you would be surprised that, there are a lot of people who are secretly KKK members. There are a lot of people who are secretly far-right, alt-right, white, neo-Nazi, white supremacist people. You'd be surprised at a number of people who are quietly racist. We know! You're not sharing anything new. You're not sharing breaking news. We fucking know. But when we speak up and say these things, we're dismissed, we're gaslit, we're laughed off, we're told to F off, we're told that we live in a post-racial society, we're told that we're exaggerating, we make everything about race, this, that, and the fucking next. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's all we hear. We know. So while I am proud of the East Asian community and other communities slowly beginning to call out their wannabe white counterparts, I'm happy and I think, it's fun, it's cute, it's something to watch, but I'm still going to go on living my life not expecting that other communities are going to swoop in and join with black people in our advocacy and our efforts. I'm still going to walk away and put the phone down and know that in real life, black people only have other black people to rely on. I'm still going to know and accept that and live with that and continue my life as normal, because you guys talk, but you do not walk the walk. You do not.
Asians calling out other Asian people for their desire to have proximity to whiteness is all up and down my timeline, and it has been for the past week and a half. And it reminds me of something that I've always thought. People love to push this narrative that Black people are the most divided minority group. But when you actually look at the political and social behavior in this country, Black people are the least politically confused minority group in this country. Not the most, the least. We don't vote against our own survival. We don't support policies that openly harm us, and we don't get lost in identity delusions. We know exactly what time it is. And when someone goes out their way to support or align with anti-Black systems, we clock it immediately. We call it out. And as a community, we distance ourselves. Most communities don't have that level of clarity. And let me make one thing clear. Black people don't vote the same because we're brainwashed. We vote the same because we know exactly what policies harm us, because we've lived through every version of harm that a United States has to offer. We never had the luxury of political delusion. But when we look at other minority groups, they're not voting as a unit at all. And that's not a dig to other minority groups. It's to call out the propaganda that Black people simply don't work together or that we're not unified. This narrative only exists because the truth would be too destabilizing. Black political unity is one of the most powerful forces in this country. And systems of power know this. So they do everything to convince us that we're broken. While in reality, we're the only community consistently aligned on social justice, human rights, and basic morality. Black people aren't divided. We're conscious. We debate, hold each other accountable, but when it matters, we move together. And that scares the crap out of this country. Because what you're really noticing is Black people don't chase proximity to whiteness like other minority groups do. While other groups are still negotiating assimilation, distancing themselves from Blackness, and cozying up to whiteness, Black people have been past that crossroads for generations. We know assimilation won't save us. We know proximity to whiteness won't protect us. We already know we all we got, and that's enough.
Y'all woke now? Y'all finally starting to wake up, and I want to say congratulations. A little round of applause for all the Asian Americans. Y'all really do need that shit. So I don't know if y'all been in these TikTok streets, but the Asian tea in these TikTok streets, I am so happy, thankful, and grateful that my fellow man, my Asian Americans are finally waking the fuck up and realizing you will never win playing the white man's game. Let's break that down. White supremacy is something that only benefits white people, okay? Everybody above Black people benefit more than Black people, okay? That's why even the deconstruction of white supremacy, why it even took so long, is because everybody above us has been benefiting from it more than we have. I want y'all to think about this, right? This is how you'll never win in white supremacy, okay? Let's imagine you have a car. You need this car to carry 10,000 pounds, a whole bunch of shit in the shit, right? Versus you have this truck. You need this truck to carry 10,000 pounds. It has a trailer on the back. What do you think will be able to be more functional in this situation? The truck. The car trying to compete with the truck will never, ever, ever compete with the truck. So as being an Asian person trying to compete with white supremacy, you will never, ever, ever compete. You are not the person that they made it for. The closer you try to assimilate with whiteness is the more dangerous it's going to be for you. Like,
ooh, Asian TikTok, I am deep in y'all business. Did y'all know they call them girls, they don't call them pick-me's, they call them pick-micos. I didn't know y'all was talking to each other like this. I am thoroughly impressed.
Whatever they Asian women in the US often mistakenly believe that there's only one seat in the room for us, and they will do anything to be in that seat and make some pretty questionable decisions, such as aligning themselves with white supremacy and white men at the expense of other minorities, not just other Asian women, and try to bring down any other Asian woman who comes anywhere near that room. But what these people don't realize is that without all of us together, there are going to be 0 seats available for Asian women in that room, period. If you want there to be a space in that room for your daughter in the future, you have to leave the door open for her. But I see many women slamming the doors shut behind them instead of asking if there's another chair available. I've been thinking about this a lot in the context of the internet and this app, where I've met a lot of progressive Asian women in the past 3 weeks. A lot of people have been listening to the Asian community talking, and we've all watched our accounts grow together. And I've been really grateful for them because I never want to be the only authority on the topic. Like, I'm just speaking from me and my perspective, and it's been really nice to have other Asian backup, especially from Southeast Asian creators, so that I can have someone to amplify my voice and vice versa, and know that I'm not completely off base. I think there's this stereotype that Asians, especially East Asians, can be really cutthroat and competitive, often, like I said, because of the myth that there can only be one, there's only one seat at the table for someone like us, but I have found that overwhelmingly not to be true. Anyway, I've tagged a bunch of them in the caption for this video. Please give them a follow. I might do a longer form video about each one of them later.
Okay, so I just wanted to say on the whole, like, messy Asian TikTok or like black people getting involved in Asian people's business, here I am inserting myself, but it's for a good reason, a good cause. Of all of the minorities, of all of the people of color, I just have to say, from what I've learned, there is literally no greater ally to the black American community than a woke Asian. A woke Asian will argue you down on behalf of the
This
black
is
American
all I
people.
got from this video. One thing I know for sure is that slowly, they will eventually wake up. Because if you don't wake up, you are losing. And they know it. Pikmiko, yeah, he's correct. Pikmiko, that's what they call them, especially the ones that are, especially Asian women that are married to white men. I am sure majority of you saw everything that happened with their H Mart and all that, and how so many of them were like, it is because majority of you are even anti-black. Because all those things, and they were like, black people are the only ones that understood what they are saying. And it is because there is nothing black people do not understand. Even before you speak, I don't know how black people do it. Before the words come up from black people, their mouth, black people already know where you are, direction you are going. And sometimes I am like, does it mean that you know what the person will say from your house? Because you never miss with the appropriate and the correct answer for them. That one is always very shocking to me. So I love the fact that everybody is waking up. Why? Because if they don't wake up, they will wake them up by themselves. The fact that these people are always telling you are in my country, but then one thing I know for sure is that they are doing you people exactly the same thing they do to black people. Even with your high level of they always say that their proximity to white, the majority of them are kind of white, and they say they have proximity to white. Still, let me tell you something. I have been telling you people, even from afar, even if I am in my highest slumber, you wake me up and I see an Asian person, I definitely will know that person is Asian. It's as simple as that. I don't know why some of you have refused to accept this. Know this and know peace, that no matter how much you try to assimilate, perspimate, I am just speaking English, don't correct me. I know this thing is not correct. Yeah, no matter how much you want to assimilate, modulate, and conflate, we still know who you are. It's as simple as ABC. You cannot cheat nature. No matter how I bleach, you must know I am a black woman, because features do not lie. And then no matter how much I try to sound, yes, I probably might not live in Africa or in Nigeria, but you definitely will know from my accent, oh, she's coming from the motherland. It's all these things are so easy. And the earlier we understand this, the better for us. Even with everything that went on with the H Mart and all that, guess what they said? They said, even if it's the smallest black person will understand what this, because some of them refuse to accept the fact that there are spaces you do not let people in. It's as simple as, it's just like you living in a house and someone you don't know comes into your house and the person wants to get into your bedroom. Like how? Why are you going to my bedroom? There are some things you share with people. There are some things you don't share with people, because people are very cunning, especially the ones that you have known very much, that they even colonize spices that they do not use. How? How can you colonize spices that you do not use? God, I beg you. That your chicken is so white that it's whiter than snow. Say what? But it is what it is. Black people knew all this. Because tell me how back then, black prosperous community, what happened to them? Because they extended hands to everybody and they were like, oh, man, these people are growing again. We pushed them from the other side. They came to this, like how? Continue to let them in till the day you will not find that thing you build, and then you start struggling it with them. Now it is now your own or their own. Sense is profitable to whoever that has it. But if you do not have it, ignorance is also a bliss. You wallow in your ignorance. As simple as ABC too. Yeah. So they are waking up slowly, slowly. The truth is that majority of them know that their community have really been anti-lag. Now, let me tell you something. I am sure you all, there are some of them that refuse to acknowledge the fact that, as an Asian person, there are some spaces you don't want to share with anybody. Or you want to share it with other people, Black people and their own people and other, but not with them, with other people, right? The ones that are married to white men said no, that it's unfair, that you have to say that, why would you say that? Those ones are sellouts. And the anti-Blackness that runs in their blood is excess. You know what? I'm going to draw the curtain here. Bye for now.